It's now 3 years since a military coup that took place in Egypt. A coup that was tagged by a deep state and a special interest group in and out of Egypt, regional and international, all scared from the people revolution that would change the face of the entire region. Actually, the coup did their job. The coup changed the face of the entire region, as there will be no return to before July 3rd, 2013. Now, people know that there is a real need for a real change, not a graduate one, as people thought in 2011 when they have their revolution. We are very sorry to see the Canadian government not taking a moral stand, sacrificing Canadian value for a few dollars at the price of silence with regard to the human blood and humiliation. From here, we are telling the world it's not too long until we regain control of our destiny. Those sitting behind this fence in this embassy should know and remind their master that he will not escape people's revolution. If Pinochet of Chile, backed by US, did not escape, the puppet Sisi of Egypt, backed by his masters, will not. In my name and the Egyptian Revolutionary Council name, we promise our people that we will not give up our rights, the people's rights, until we achieve the full revolution and then stated our democracy. Je vous dis quelques mots en français. Durant la dernière 3 années, l'Égypte a été gouvernée par un dictateur. Les pays souffrent d'une crise financière, d'un système judiciaire politisé. Il n'y a pas de respect des droits humains. La résistance du peuple égyptien, des coups à l'intérieur et l'extérieur d'Égypte contre le crime et la violation de la coup d'État, il n'aura jamais Jean pension. Un mot pour le gouvernement canadien. Les valeurs ne sont pas à vendre et la souffrance d'Égyptiens n'est pas à vendre. N'abandonnez pas le peuple d'Égypte. Le peuple n'oubliez jamais qui le soutient et qui bénéficie à leur souffrance. I'll excuse you in a few words in Arabic to the Egyptian people. باسمي واسم المجلس الثوري لشعبنا في مصر أقول لن ننساكم. نحن صداكم وثورتكم وعضدكم. نحن على العهد. 3 سنوات على الانقلاب العسكري. نقف هنا على باب السفارة المحتلة من ممثلي النظام الفاشي كما يحتلون حواري مصر وميادينها. 3 سنوات ومصر محكومة بأسوأ نظام ديكتاتوري تعاني من انهيار اقتصادي، انتهاك يومي لحقوق الإنسان، منظومة فاسدة تعشش كل أركانها. مقاومتنا للانقلاب ستستمر داخل وخارج مصر، ولن نكل ولن نتوقف عن فتح جرائمه وانتهاكاته. تحية من هنا من كندا، من كل مكان في العالم، لشعبنا الصامد على أرض مصر في كل ميدان وكل حارة وكل نجع. تحية لشعبنا الصامد في معتقلات الانقلاب وقمع الفاشي. تحية لشعبنا الصامد ورئيسنا الصامد محمد مرسي. عهد علينا ألا نستكين حتى نسترد مصرنا وديمقراطيتنا، حتى نسترد استحقاقاتنا وشرعيتنا، ورئيسنا ليستكمل مدته ومهمته التي انتخبناه من أجلها. شكرا لكم.
Well, the next speaker is someone who knows about the Egyptian situation a lot more than most of us do. Has been there from the very beginning. His organization has documented all the atrocities and the violations of human rights. I give you Alex Neve.
Thank you very much. I'm Alex Neve with Amnesty International, and I'm here for one simple fact, and that is that there's no other way to describe it. Egypt is in the midst of a full-blown human rights crisis, a crisis that has continued to deteriorate every day, every week, every month, certainly over these last 3 years. There was such great hope, wasn't there, friends? 5 years ago, there was great hope that the horrific years under the Mubarak government and governments before his, governments in which the fate of the Egyptian people were cruelly repressed by various military-backed governments, was finally going to come to an end, and that there was hope that rights and democracy would prevail. The journey to democracy was one that was obviously turbulent and full of many ups and downs, but it had great promise. Well, in the last 3 years, we have seen that come to a crashing end, and Egypt has been in the midst of a downward spiral. These 3 years have been marked by every human rights violation imaginable. Freedom of expression has been completely decimated in the country. If you are anyone who wants to express a contrary political view, you will be arrested. You will be thrown into jail. You will face torture. If you are a journalist who simply wants to do your job and report the news, you too face the risk of an unlawful arrest, being thrown into prison, and torture. If you're a human rights activist simply wanting to speak out and stand up for the universal human rights that belong to all of us and certainly belong to all Egyptian people, you face being arrested, illegally imprisoned, and the likelihood of torture once you're locked up. And on goes the list. Disappearances have been on the rise in Egypt. Amnesty International is concerned that that number may now be approaching 75 to 100 per month, individuals who are disappearing in official custody. Torture is out of control. It is widespread and pervasive throughout the Egyptian prison system. And the use of the death penalty has risen to staggering proportions now. In the last few years, we've seen a number of instances, in fact, where hundreds of people at the same time, with the signature of one judge, are sentenced to death. Hundreds of people in mass death sentences. We don't see anything like that anywhere in the world. All of this against a backdrop of complete impunity. Those who carry out the torture, those who give the order for the disappearances, those who stand by while human rights activists and journalists and political opponents are thrown into prison, they don't face justice. They don't face investigations. They simply get to carry on with their crimes, which of course only emboldens them and explains why the crisis has been in such a downward spiral. Well, against that backdrop, we might like to think that there has been international outcry, that governments have been holding Egypt to account, that governments have been trying to put pressure on the Egyptian government to end the violations and restore some sense of commitment to rights and justice in the country. But friends, largely what we hear is silence. And sadly, we do not hear very much at all from the Canadian government, and that includes under the past and the current Canadian governments. We don't hear outcry when there's a mass death sentence. We don't get a sense that there's active diplomatic efforts underway behind the scenes to confront the torture. We need to see a dramatic increase in international pressure from all governments. And certainly those of us who are gathered here in Canada today want to see that increased pressure from the Canadian government. There's an international responsibility to respond to this crisis, and that international responsibility means that silence is not an option. Thank you.
Thank you. In the name of Egyptian Canadian Coalition for Democracy, thank you, Alex, for coming today. Thank you, Mr. Kamel, for coming today. I would like to say that after more than 5 years of our Egyptian revolution that raised bread, freedom, and social justice, we see poverty, we see torture, and we see a lot of human rights violations. So we here in Canada, the Egyptian Canadian, all are united to be the voice of people inside inside Egypt who cannot speak loudly right now because of the oppression that they see and they feel in the country. So we tell everyone inside Egypt, we are your voice. We will raise your case and raise your voice and raise all your sufferings to everywhere, to all international bodies, to all civil societies. And we will never stop that until the end of the coup. And excuse me, I will speak that in Arabic again. لأحبائنا وإخواتنا في شوارع مصر، إن كنتم مش عارفين تتكلموا بصوت عالي بسبب الاضطهاد والظلم اللي انتوا شايفينه، فاعرفوا كويس إن ليكم إخوات بره هيوصلوا صوتكم ده. انتوا مش لوحدكم، احنا معاكم، وهنفضل نمثلكم ونرفع صوتكم ونرفع قضيتكم إلى آخر مدى لحد ما يسقط الانقلاب وتتحقق مطالبكم بعيش، حرية، عدالة اجتماعية, bread, freedom and social justice. Thank you everyone. Thank you who joined us today, and we're gonna meet again until this coup fall and we achieve all the justice for people in Egypt. Solidarité avec le peuple égyptien. Merci beaucoup.